Hi guys, Hari here, doing another first-person VOD. This time, the long-awaited, or awaited by the one or two people who requested it 2 months ago, Dr. Repulsor video. So this time I will be playing a team matchmaking by myself, single draft game. I don't think any of these people are friends either, but I really don't know for sure. But yeah, so generally in playing with pubs, I'm kind of passive with allowing things and try to get a decent team set up. But in this case, Dr. Repulsor is just such a strong hero, and I've had this request for a while and really wanted to play a Dr. Repulsor game, which is kind of difficult given that banning draft and banning pick, he's usually banned. So I was pretty much just going to go run with the ball, so to speak, in this case. Brown wants me to play Fade or Pharaoh instead. Fade, I can't really agree with that argument. Pharaoh, fair enough. Pharaoh, I think, probably is about as good as Dr. Repulsor is. But, yeah, like I said, I have my own motivations. I understand that's not the best for the team, but generally speaking, I do what is reasonable for the team. And here, I don't think it's such a bad call, because I think they're probably about equally imbalanced heroes. Maybe Dr. Repulsor a bit more. And with Thunderbringer and Dr. Repulsor, Light Blue could go Tempest, which is what he had at least shadowed, so Thunderbringer could solo top, I'd solo mid, and then we would have Pred Pyro. But Light Blue ends up going Gladiator instead, which is going to lead to a Thunderbringer side lane duel, which I think is not very good, because obviously he has bad range, not the best attack animation, so he's going to have to get close to hit or deny, which isn't good, because he can't really support last hitting that long with chain lightning and side lane. Plus, if he does last hit much with chain lightning in a side lane, it's going to push the lane, which is a lot more of a problem in a side lane than in mid. The other thing of note that happened there, Pink and Dark Green had the option of Pyro, Plague, Nighthound, and Predator. And I think Predator is a better, definitely a better carry than Nighthound. However, Plague is such a better support that if I could have picked, I probably would have had them go Nighthound Plague instead of Pred Pyro, just because Pyro isn't really the best support, and the lane doesn't have a ton of synergy. Like, I mean, I guess, you know, Red can kind of leap and just hope that the slow is enough to make it so the Pyro can land a stun, which is a possibility, but... so anyway, here you can see my starting items. I see that Blue's Soul Stealer, so I know I'm going to be going against Soul Stealer mid. I was talking for a little bit, which is actually why I'm kind of slow to buy items here. Normally I would just go with my Mark of the Novice, 2 Minor Totems, probably 1 health potion, and then save up the rest of the gold to get a bottle before 2 minutes. However, with Soul Stealer, I really can't afford to either let him harass me out of lane or get that many last hits early, because I just don't want him to get a lead. So I actually buy a little bit more regen than I normally would, because I assume I'm going to get harassed by Demon Hands a fair amount. Hockey my career there. And then, yeah, 1 more Minor Totem just for a little, tiny bit more base damage in the stats. So really, we're not having a presence at the rune like we should. I decided to go bottom just because my team's closer to that one, and that's the better one for us to go for. Kind of. I mean, neither one's really good for Hellborn to go for. But Light Blue doesn't come there anyway, and Brown's only moderately there. Brown actually places the ward before 0 seconds, which is kind of bad, because it means I want a vision of the 6-minute rune. Fortunately, Predator picks up the double damage top, because Soul Stealer didn't go there, Legion didn't go there, which is just great for me, because if Soul Stealer had DD to start with, I would pretty much just concede the game right there, which is why I don't think that there should be 0-minute runes, at least not double damage in Illusion. Yeah, so anyway, just going to settle into the laning phase a little bit here. Really need to make sure that Soul Stealer doesn't pick up any last hits in the first couple waves, just so he doesn't, because his animation is definitely better than mine, and if he gets a couple charges, or a couple souls, his damage is going to be a lot better than mine too, and really want to avoid that if possible, so I'm going to do everything I can to just kind of survive for 2 or 3 waves without him getting a bunch. My skill build here, I went with Contraption first, because nothing else is really going to help level 1, unless we're ganking at the rune, in which case I might grab pull. I would probably grab pull first, which is why I didn't get my skill, I don't think, until going to lane. And then I just get the passive at level 2, just because, again, these will just help me last hit more. Having the pull solo mid, again, 1v1, isn't just really, it's just not doing too much. Like, what am I going to do? Pull him and, like, get 1 hit off on him? That's kind of useless. So, yeah, I went this order just because it's going to help with last hitting and harassing him. I don't really mind taking a bit of damage from him because I bought all this regen because I assumed he would be trying to nuke me out of the lane, but he is not, so I'll be happy to trade hits with him or take a little bit of damage if it means a couple extra creep kills. because it'll kind of let me use the regen, which I want to do anyway before I get my bottle. I really would have liked to get that last creep kill there, because that would have given me enough money to send myself the bottle right now, which would have been nice. By the 2-minute rune-ish, I could have got it. I have pull now, obviously level 3. First of all, just because I need to have it at some point, and because it would have helped me, like if we're chasing to the rune, it's pretty useful. So now I do have enough money for my bottle. I think I started to play back just a little bit because I was going to buy it, and I was like, no, I'll just finish this creep wave first. No real reason not to. Yeah, so now with just 1 range left, I'm going to buy my bottle real quick and send it to myself. Yeah, so I'll probably drop a minor totem for that, just because I haven't used up my regen just yet, like I would have liked to. Yep, there's the minor totem. I'm just going to continue to use my mana and health, because, again, I have the bottle coming. Unfortunately, Soul Stealer's kind of picked up his souls now a little bit, which is pretty much inevitable. Not much I'm going to be able to do about that regardless. So he's going to last it significantly better than I am, if he's decent at it. One mistake I definitely made here, I didn't even look at the rune before getting my bottle, which I really should have done. No reason not to just take a peek to see, alright, well, to look bottom, since we have a ward down there, and seeing if the rune was there, and if it was, what it was, and if it wasn't, I would have just known it was top. Now I know it's top after having my bottle, but really, I mean, just kind of a risky move not to have seen it. Haste is great for me because top lane is pushed pretty far up, so I'm easily able to set up a gank, let them know I'm coming. I get Contraption level 2 here instead of Pull, which I'll talk about in a second when I'm on my way back to lane. Yeah, so I run up. Unfortunately, the creep wave gets there right in time, but they're not actually paying enough attention that it matters, so I'm just going to come pull the Demented Shaman, throw down a Contraption. Pyro's actually smart enough to nuke the Demented Shaman after the tree invised, and the tree invising him is going to be kind of unfortunate for the tree, because now he's out of mana to invis himself. So that was just a good play by Pyro. And yeah, now I'm going to head back mid. So as I was saying, I got Contraption level 2 there, and then Pull level 2 now. So I normally like maxing Contraption because it helps me farm, and I think that's perfectly fine. Oh yeah, finishing my Blood Chalice here. So normally I would go 3-1-1 by level 5, but interestingly enough I went with another level of Pull. So if I was going to get another level of Pull, I should have gotten it before ganking, because Pull is going to be much better for ganking than the Contraption is, in my opinion. Because, you know, when ganking you want disables, stuns, whatever. So it really was strange for me to have gotten Contraption before ganking and then Pull after ganking. I really did that ineffectively and should have switched it around. Here comes the Courier. I can't get my Blood Chalice until I give it to him. So then there I hit E, and I think I hit Alt-R, but I guess I must have missed the Alt or taken my finger off of it in time, so that actually it doesn't give me my Blood Chalice before heading back to lane. Also, you'll see I glanced bottom when Soul Stealer disappeared from lane and saw an Invis rune, so I obviously called out to bottom that Soul Stealer is going to be ganking bottom with Invis, and you can see, if you see the icon of my character, I'm still talking to it now, because even though light blue has gone all the way back, brown is still playing all the way up. So then I explain to my teammates that I would really appreciate if someone actually talked to Brown, because apparently he's just not going to, maybe he has sound off, which people tend to do. Here he actually is trying to taunt them, and now that he knows that the gank's there, he kind of runs all the way back if you're watching the minimap, and then yeah, it goes back forward. Soul Stealer's obviously still there in Invis, so he's probably going to get killed. I finally realized that my Blood Chalice didn't drop off on me, so I'm now sending it to myself. Yeah. It's always unfortunate just because the way that Courier bring 2 items to you when you have 1 to complete a set happens. Yeah, so there you can see, continue to play up even though he shouldn't have, and got ganked. Like I said, I'm pretty sure this guy has to be trolling after my experiences with him in this game for a comment like that, which you can see even that Light Blue is laughing about, and yeah, and the Predator. Speaking of the Predator, actually, you can see that he's actually a fellow Game Replays member, which I'm happy to... I didn't even realize that until the game was over, to be honest. But he plays a vicious support Predator, leading the game in assists with 13, and even considers buying wards when our quasi-support aren't. Which is kind of another thing. Another reason I kind of would have liked the Plague Nighthound more, because Plague is like a true support versus Thunderbringer and Pyro. I can understand why both of them might not want to buy wards, because neither of them is really a true support hero. Maybe Pyro can support a bit better than Thunderbringer, because Thunderbringer really should get his spell shards to be effective. So anyway, yeah, unfortunately, because the ward went down before the 6-minute rune. I really have no idea where it popped up at, which is why I kind of just continue to farm mid pretty safely because, you know, my ult lets me get out of bad situations and I have plenty of mana, so I should be able to leap pretty far. I can see them ganking top. Unfortunately, I really need to have... there's actually a really good stun by Pyro if you caught the end of that. I really need to have a teleport, or homecoming stone right now, which I don't, because I could have really counter-ganked pretty effectively top. That's one thing Dr. Repulsor is great at, is counter-ganking. Unfortunately, I don't have my homecoming stone yet. I'd like to send it to myself now, but now I'm just going to kind of save up for my steam boots because I'm 150 away. Really, I should save up for about 300 more gold so that I could get the homecoming stone and the steam boots. Pick up a double damage here bottom, and again, just kind of going back to lane. Unfortunately, this is kind of a passive game. I know, I'm sorry, not a lot of Dr. Repulsor play to see, but like I said, I mean, I just don't get many opportunities to play him to begin with. I was kind of frustrated that this game was so passive, which you'll kind of see happens later, so I really just spent a lot of time farming, unfortunately. Not a lot I can do about that. Part of the problem is that they have a tree, so obviously he's going to have eyes everywhere by a certain point, which is going to make ganking much more difficult.